ethical leadership communication. Okay, there are two main characteristics that ethical leadership should have in terms of the communication. First is transparency, where they should develop a culture where ethics is frequently discussed, and reporting, where it is a two-way process. Both employee and leader feel a responsibility to report to one's subordinates. So, like we've mentioned before, it's a two-way should be a two-way process. Not only the employee reports to his superior, but the person, the boss, will also report to his subordinates. The process of reporting can be formal or informal, both. So in normal circumstances, there should be both types of reporting, in both informal and formal. Ethical leadership is not possible without effective communication. How can a leader be ethical without having effective communication to influence its subordinates to follow ethical practices? So ethical leadership communication should include several skills, such as interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication is when two or more people interact with one another. An ethical method of communicating treats the other person with respect. It is often difficult to communicate with superiors, and communication has gray areas. This is quite typical. There are usually difficulty to communicate with superiors. Then next one is small group communication. Many of the organization's ethical decisions are made in teams. Small groups can increase collaboration and generate a variety of perspectives and opinions. Groupthink. Groupthink is a concept that occurs when one or more group members feel pressured to conform to the group's decision, even if they personally disagree. Okay, so when decision is made in a group, in a small group, and there are certain members that have the pressure is pressured to conform to the decision, even though they do not agree with it. That is called a groupthink. Group polarization refers to the fact that a group is more likely to move toward a more extreme position than its individual group members. Okay, this is some tips on how to avoid groupthink. First we need to understand what is meant by groupthink and how it can occur. Then allow open and honest discussion that encourages critiques, questioning, and criticism. Thirdly, criticism should be welcomed and not minimized or dismissed. Fourth, explore all sides of a topic. Fifth, bring in the appropriate subject matter experts, internally or externally. Sixth, document the situation, options, recommendations, implementation timetable, needed support and budget. And seventh, have another team review your output. So, continuing with ethical leadership communication, there are also non-verbal communication. You have verbal communication and non-verbal. So non-verbal includes actions, body language, expression, or other forms of communication not written or oral. It provides major clues about an individual's emotional state. There are also paralanguage, which is not specifically with regards to the words that we say, but more on the way we talk, such as the volume of our voice, the inflection, tone, and rhythm. These also communicate certain things that is not seen, that cannot be understood merely from the words that is being uttered. Okay, often deemed more reliable than verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is often deemed more reliable than verbal communication. Next is listening. Okay, ethical leaders should able not only to speak out, but they need to also be able to listen. It involves paying attention to both verbal and non-verbal behavior. And listening is just as important as speaking, if not otherwise. And it is very important to employee morale. So the more a leader listens to its employees, then the more it increases employee morale. And the less the leader listens to his subordinates, then the lower it will be the morale of the employee. Next, we look at the leader-follower relationships. There is a concept of leader-follower congruence when leaders and followers share the same vision, ethical expectation, and objectives of the company. In the leader exchange theory, mentioned that when leaders form unique relationships with followers through social interactions, ethics programs and communication are some of the things that needs to be done in a leader-follower congruence to obtain leader-follower congruence. And such ethics programs and communication will include codes of ethics and interpersonal communication. Power differences and workplace politics will occur, but in a leader-follower congruence, there should be an attempt to reduce the differences when ethical communication is involved. Okay, and in leader-follower congruence, there should be feedback. Um, Either positive feedback or negative feedback, both are welcomed and can be communicated using formal or informal methods. And it is important to allow employees to give feedback so that they will feel more involved in decision making. Next, we look at leadership styles and ethical decisions. One important concept here is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to manage themselves and their relationship with others effectively, characterized by self-awareness, self-control, and relationship building. There are 6 leadership styles based on emotional intelligence. You have the coercive style, which is similar to the coercive coercive power that we mentioned before. A leader that commands power by being coercive, it demands obedience. Okay, and then authoritative, it inspires others and creates a positive performance climate. Affiliative, which relies on friendship, so you a leader that makes people feel that they are but they are more like friends, affiliate. And then democratic leadership relies on participation and teamwork. Pace setting, a leader that sets high standards. And coaching, leader that develops skills in others. Okay, in terms of those, there are circumstances, there are certain times decision making would be best when certain leadership style is being used. Okay, so it's not that one leadership style is always best in all situation. It will be some of them will be better in some kinds of decisions. And then there are another way of dividing leadership style is by dividing into transactional leaders, transformational leaders, and authentic leaders. Transactional leaders are leaders who create employee satisfaction through negotiating or bartering for desired behaviors or levels of performance. So negotiating or bartering meaning that yeah, yeah. And then transformational leaders who strive to raise employees' level of commitment and foster trust and motivation. And authentic leaders are leaders who are passionate about the company, live out company values daily in their behavior in the workplace, and form long-term relationships with employees and other stakeholders. Okay. Finally, the radar model. So um, in facing ethical conflicts or ethical decisions, um, and looking at scanning for threats within the environment, there is this radar model that is prescribed for organizations to adopt. And this radar stands for recognize ethical issues. So first of all, organizations should recognize when ethical issues occur. Secondly, avoid misconduct whenever possible. So when ethical issues occur, then they need to make sure that they avoid any misconduct. Okay. And then next, they need to discover ethical risk areas, and then they need to answer stakeholder concerns when an ethical issue comes to light, and finally they need to recover from a misconduct disaster if such misconduct occurs by improving upon weaknesses in the ethics program.